Hey everyone, Mr. Mom Collectibles. I'm back with another video today, and this is just a quick part 2 follow-up from my original Batman Begins review from Hot Toys. And if anyone remembers, I'll pop the link in that video after this one. But I was really disappointed with that figure. If anyone recalls, the disappointment that I had. I got a day one pre-order, and then when I got it, I did the review. I was very disappointed in the figure, and one of the biggest reasons were, as you see here, was the actual cape. Hot Toys gave us a wired cape, which I always say they have a really bad track record of capes in general. Either they do stock drape capes that are too thick, or their wired capes are just flat out garbage. And the wire was so thin, as you can see there. I open it up and it really just kind of flaps, and it's too heavy. It doesn't do anything. It really just was one of the many reasons why the figure was a abysmal disappointment to me, to say it nicely. And in my opinion, it was the worst figure of 2022 from Hot Toys perspective. Also the clips, but you can see there with the cape, I'm trying to manipulate the cape to make it look somewhat, just giving you an idea of how flimsy the wire was, and just how it just doesn't do anything, and it just sat in the display case, and it was just really bad and disappointing. So one of the quick fixes for that, like anyone with that, is getting a custom cape. And so after doing that video, I made a comment multiple times that I was going to get a custom cape and see if that changes it. There's a lot of fixes for the figure that people can do: custom head sculpt, the correct gauntlets, the belt, the boots, remove the shine one way or another. But for me, I just ever wanted a custom cape and call it a day. I didn't want to invest that much money in the figure, so I did do that. I ended up getting a cape from a gentleman. His name's Bill, and as I said before, I don't want to say his last name. I don't want to mess it up. I will definitely put his Facebook contact information in the description of the video, so you can reach out to him if you're interested. US based seller, does drape capes, wired capes for various items. This is my second cape from him that I purchased, but I did reach out to him after this video. I said, hey, listen, you got to take care of me. I need to get a cape. He was able to get one, velvet specifically. I was looking for a velvet drape cape, so he was able to hook me up with that. I did pay for it myself, so this is not a promotional video or anything like that. I did not get any products for free. I want to make that very clear. Paid for it with my own money. I asked him if I could do a review of the product. He said absolutely no problem. So that is all I'm doing. I'm doing that just for the reason of, like I said in this video, I said to people that I was going to do an updated part 2 of just the drape cape. So what I'm going to do now is flash forward to what the figure looks like now on a turntable, just with the drape cape, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. So here we have my updated version of the Batman Begins figure. Now, in my original review, I made a point of knowing, and in comments, that for me, I got this figure to complete the series of other Batman figures that I have. What I mean by that is I have the DX19, I have the DX09, I have the Ben Affleck Batmans, I have the Nightmare version, and the BVS. So I have a variety of Batman figures. So I'm more invested in other versions, like the DX09 is my favorite, the Michael Keaton. That's my favorite figure, and I have a drape cape on that one. And the figure itself, obviously, I think is just perfect in all ways. The Batman Begins, as I once again said in the review, when I got the figure, I was pretty disappointed from what the pictures were, the promo pics, and what I got in hand. But I'm keeping it to complete a collection and to have the Batman Begins figure represented. There are other people out there that are far more passionate about this particular figure, and I pat on the back to those people. That's really great, because there's other figures that I'm passionate about. It's just the way it is. We all have our own flavors as collectors, and so for me, when I figured out, when I did the review, my only investment that I was willing to do on the figure was a drape cape, and that was it. There's other people who are going to do a custom head sculpt. I know there's been updated talks about removing the gloss on the figure. I would never do any of that stuff myself personally, just because you could possibly be causing damage to a $300 plus figure, and you don't know what the long-term repercussions of that is going to be. So That being said, there's a gentleman, his name's Bill. I don't want to say his last name because I don't want to butcher it. I will have his contact info in the description of this video on his Facebook. He is someone that started, I met him during the pandemic 2020. I bought a couple figures off him. He got into selling figures, and then he partnered with someone where they're doing custom capes and robes and getting into that kind of business, because there's a couple prominent people out there, but I know he tapped into it, and I bought a BVS Batman drape cape from him. It's fantastic. So, and he's US based, out of Ohio, I believe. So shipping is pretty quick, and it's inexpensive. So I reached out to him and I asked him if he had a drape cape, specifically velvet. I really wanted a velvet cape that was more accurate to the movie. A lot of people out there didn't have velvet because, a little bit thicker material, the way it draped. Yeah, it is a little bit more difficult to work with, but I wanted movie accuracy as best as I could get it, and affordably. So that being said, I reached out to Bill about a week, 2 weeks ago. Within about, I would say, 2 weeks, I had this cape from when I talked to him and delivering it to my doorstep. I think it's gorgeous. As you can see on video, I have him on a rotating turntable, and it displays the figure the way I wanted it to. I wanted the cape to be big. I wanted the wingspan to be big. I love how the velvet, the light just bounces off of it. And also, I wanted it to close up as much of the body as I possibly could to cover up the gloss. And I think it does a really great job. Now, one thing to note, so I don't get bashed in the comments, the clips, I incorrectly put those on the cowl myself. They're too close together. I can live with it. It's not the end of the world. It's sitting in the back of my display case. A Batman enthusiast will notice that, but to the average person, it looks as is. So that was the one issue, is the clips, which is a documented issue, were too high up, almost near the shoulders on the stock version, and you had to pop those out. And unfortunately, there's pre-made holes on that figure, so if you try putting those clips back in the original spot, the cape covers it. So I broke the pins off, and I honestly, a little bit of glue, fabric glue, I glued them to the cowl, and as I said, they're a little too close together, but I can live with it. It's not the end of the world to me. So that, just calling that out as is. However, the cape itself drapes, I think, gorgeous. It pulls off different styles, how it really closes. You see how the front, the points kind of meet. It covers up the body very well. In terms of putting the cape on, you just got to work with it like drape capes in terms of positioning it. I could work with it a little bit more, but getting it on and then getting the sculpt on was a little bit of a challenge, trying to get the sculpt on at the right point. I adjusted the cape multiple times. I'm happy with the way it is. There's one area right here where I can fix that. As you can see, there's a little bit, it kind of curl, there's a little bit of an air pocket on the chest area. That's not necessarily the cape, that's how I installed it. So I got it to a point where I'm satisfied with it. And as you see, so I have them on the rotating base. I think is really fantastic. And I'll put a little before picture right next to it, right here. I'll do a little pop-up for my video, and you'll see what it is, because on my video I did a version, I did a pretty comprehensive breakdown of the cape. So on the left hand side, I'll just put a little photo there, and you can see what the stock version looks like compared to this. And this isn't a promotional video in the sense that I paid for this with my own money. You're more than welcome to I recommend him. I love the quality of the cape, but there's multiple other people out there that do this. I don't want to name them. That's not what this video is about. It's just letting you guys know. I just wanted to do a part 2 to my original review of the figure in terms of my disappointment on it. And so in that video, I made a comment about how I will do an update on the cape, a couple things I made. So that's what this video is about. But it just goes to show you that it is possible just with a cape by itself, that and if you don't want to invest any more than that, it does wonders for the figure. There's custom head sculpts out there. Yes, the gauntlets are wrong. The belt is an off color. There's so much, this $300 figure could run you close to $700-800 all in when you're done customizing it with a sculpt. The gauntlets, boots, the cape, all that stuff. So respectively, that's just something I didn't want to invest that much into. So I just wanted to do a cape, call it a day. And as I said, this really just changes the whole complexity of the figure, and it really elevates it. And I love looking at it. And believe it or not, when it's in my display case, it does catch my eye more often than it did before. It was an eyesore originally. So once again, guys, this is Mr. Mom Collectibles. I will link the contact information to the gentleman Bill, who I bought this from. He does do other capes. He advertises online while he's selling figures. He does put capes and cloaks and other things in his listing. So check him out. Really great guy. Talk to. Once again, like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate everyone's support. I'll put my contact links in there as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And once again, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Appreciate it.